Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Section 214 of BC Lions podcast. Uh, this is the kind of a different kind of episode we'll be going through. So I'm just here with JS today. Hammer's not around because he forgot that we were going to do an episode today. He
All
was,
good.
and at one point he was, tooling around my neck of the woods in Port Moody, and I went, oh, this would be a good time for me to, go see him. But yeah, I think it was raining at the time, so uh, yeah, I would have probably said not gone anyways. But yeah, so it was really, it was just us watching these, yeah, it was just us watching these last two playoff games before the Grey Cup. So that was the Eastern Conference Final between the Toronto Argonauts and Montreal Alouettes, and then was followed up by the Saskatchewan Roughriders visiting the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And I guess, yeah, we'll say that for this episode, it's going to be a pretty basic one. You know,
Just
we're
recapping the two games,
we're just
basically.
we're just recapping the two games, and then be making our Grey Cup picks, and then we'll off. But yeah, I guess I'll make reference to the fact that I'm wearing gray clothing right now because the results were pretty much my worst possible result when it comes to off season and of course Winnipeg being Winnipeg and everything, right? So yeah, so the results are basically in the Eastern Conference Final. It was just the pretty tight game. It was a close game. That was pretty enjoyable to watch as a neutral.
Very
Not from
entertaining. Very
Yeah,
sloppy. Like Montreal
very
committed
sloppy. Yeah, I mean the
how many
first
turnovers
half,
did they commit? Like five or
five
six,
turnovers for Montreal. Yeah,
including a bunch of
a,
them.
a lot of them in the first quarter. Yeah,
Yeah, and a lot of them in the red zone too, which is, they ended up losing by 2 points, and that's simply the reason why they lost. Red zone
yeah,
turnovers, and
yeah.
they only lost by 2 points. So
It's extremely rare to have five turnovers and win for one, but also be losing by just 2 points, right? Because
yeah, the
usually
fact
when you have five turnovers, I mean, you're going to get blown out, right?
the fact that they had a chance at all is really, I guess, just a testament to how strong of a team they are defensively. And yeah,
Yeah,
the offense
and
just didn't get it done today.
yeah, well, yeah, Toronto's offense wasn't getting it done in the first half for a bit, and then yeah, they kind of caught fire in the third quarter. But yeah, so that was a very enjoyable game. But the Western Conference Final, I guess, well, this is kind of like a mini gut checks before we get into the recaps. But for the Western Conference Final, it's like
It was a blowout.
it wasn't even close. Like once it was 21-6 Winnipeg, I went, yeah, this is probably um pretty over.
I said it was over
Uh
when it was 14-0. You just knew some 14-0 games. You're like, they might come back. And that one, I just knew. Just the vibes were like, it was over.
yeah. We know from experience of losing these guys two straight times in the same situation, right? Like, we know best how Winnipeg just sucked the life out of every team at home, right? I mean, this is actually their ninth straight win against Saskatchewan at home regular season and playoffs, and they won the Western Conference Final at home uh six straight times, dating all the way back to 2001. um,
That's hard to believe.
yeah,
Wow.
they just feel invincible when it comes. They just feel invincible when it comes to the playoffs, right? Just in the West, at least. I mean, I'm hoping that. I mean, again, I'm hoping that the last time I have to say that, but that they're invincible at home in the playoffs. But I don't. I'm not sure. Just I guess we'll just see what the offseason for every team is like in the West.
Gonna be a
But
very, very interesting one, that's for sure.
yeah, and it's funny that and then I was gonna say it's funny that you say that you said you knew it was over by the time it was 14-0 because I had a almost premonition, like Nostradamus like premonition in the Eastern Conference Final game that I'll get to. Well, let's get to that. right now. So uh yeah, so first quarter in Toronto with Montreal. So Montreal set to receive the opening kickoff, and then I found it funny that there was actually there's two players on Montreal named Fletcher and Lecho. So there's Fletcher and then Lecho had an F, right? So it's so you have to forgive me if I start mixing up the names, but I know Fletcher is the running back and Lecho is the kick returner. So um just kind of making a bit of a headache for commentary, but you have to forgive me if I make a mistake. But I'll
That's
have to.
okay.
Uh, so yeah, Letcher returned the ball to the Montreal 39 on the kickoff, and then the broadcast said that Fajardo had the highest completion percentage in the CFL. He finished with the highest completion percentage at 73%. And I put like despite his late struggles because I noticed that, well, I mean, if you want to say like down the stretch, Montreal didn't really play all that well down this, in the later months of the season, and it kind
But
of
they were
bit
they were
them here.
consistent all year, even if they did struggle a bit.
They struggled a bit, but yeah, then it was kind of a little bit of a red flag, but it wasn't like alarming red flags, like like we saw
Yeah,
with BC
definitely.
this year, right? But yeah, this was a very un-Montreal game, really, because and basically it started out. Um, I mean, well, it didn't really start out that way because yeah, Montreal had a 2-and-out. I mean, Fajardo did get nearly intercepted on second down, forced Montreal to go 2-and-out, and then they almost blocked a punt. Well, Toronto almost blocked a punt, but Grant gets it anyways, and then to the 26. And then on the first play of the drive, Chad Kelly gets intercepted on 2nd and 10 on a deflected deep shot. Oh yeah, this was the start of the chaos, right? So Kelly got intercepted on a deflection, and then on the run back, like Murray, the guy who intercepted, he fumbled the ball, and then Kadeem Carey, like the running back for the Argos, was the last one to touch the ball. So the Argos
Two
got the
turnovers
ball
on one
back.
play. That's pretty
Two
crazy.
turnovers,
Only seen it
like
a handful of times and it happened there, so that was quite funny.
and it happened in the conference final. Right? Like I don't think I've never seen that. Like it hasn't come to my memory, or it's been a very long time since I've seen a situation like that uh,
It's true.
in a playoff game. Yeah, that was yeah, that was chaos to start with. So yeah, Toronto got the ball back after the interception immediately, but uh, well, yeah, Carey converts on a sweep run for 11. And then Chad Kelly throws incomplete to Polk to force Toronto. Like, despite all that craziness, I mean, Toronto still punts anyways because yeah, the offense was a little bit off kilter from that. Like, um, and then Letcher returns the punt to the 40, and then a fullback catch, which I always love. Mason, he makes an easy catch for 9 yards to make Fajardo's conversion run easier for 7, and then Montreal's turnover trouble start here when Fletcher seems to convert on a long run, but then he fumbles the ball at the end of a run on like it was a strip sack at the end of the run
So it
to
went to
fumble
nothing in
it.
the end.
Eh, That yeah, it's like he was home free with a first down and then fumbled and then Toronto gets the ball back and but just like the fortunate fumble that happened for Toronto. I mean, Toronto doesn't do anything else here either on this fumble too. So it's kind of it must have been if you're a Toronto fan, you must be like pretty frustrated like seeing the turnovers happen and nothing happening, right? Because it's basically Toronto goes to center field. They don't do much else with it. They punt it to Letcher. He runs it out with no room left to run on the punt return, and then
This is
on
where things went
Fajardo's
crazy.
yeah,
The pick
and
six
then
was pretty crazy. He picked, what was it? It was the he passed to Fajardo passed it to Letcher, right? And then he
yes.
bobbled it right into the defender Franklin, who threw a pick six. I remember telling my dad at the time that's not Fajardo's fault at all. It was just He should have caught it. He didn't. Boom, pick six.
Six. Yeah, that was probably man, again, we've seen that a couple of times happen with BC, but it's just when it happens to another team, it's just like yeah, it can happen to other teams too. And then yeah, it was just bobbled pass and then just immediately a pick six. So it was just the defense was just the defense for Toronto was like, okay, if the offense can't score on our turnovers, we'll do it ourselves, right?
Of course.
Um, yeah, and it was a sloppy as hell game with four turnovers in the span of less than 9 minutes. Right?
Oh boy.
Like I had a lot to put in this first quarter, right? And I even argued that we could have done like this entire game for an episode, right? Because of how up and down this game was. But yeah, crazy. But yeah, so after that pick six, Letcher returned the kickoff to the 46 on a pretty good run to give Montreal some decent field position. No, and then Fletcher runs back to back for conversions, and then Rambo, one of my favorite names in the league, Rambo nearly makes an amazing touchdown catch, but he couldn't hold on because the ball hits the turf incomplete. Right? There
Yeah, I
were a
remember
few of
that.
those.
There were a bunch of
It-
those by Montreal. A lot of drops, a lot of bobbles.
yeah, and also in the Winnipeg game too, there were a lot of just almost catches that would just drop at the last second, and then yeah. So
Frustrating for them, that's for sure.
yeah, frustrating for Montreal, but they end up kicking a field goal anyway to shorten the lead to 7-3. So it wasn't at the time. It wasn't like
Wasn't
wasn't
a total loss, but they wanted more there, obviously.
one
And
of
if
more
they
than
had held
that.
on, they would have gotten it. So, and when you lose by 2 points,
When you lose by 2 points, like those missed opportunities matter. Uh, and then I thought this was funny about how TSN then proceeds to air an air horn. I said air is an air horn featurette, right? From how the air horn you got like an annoying reputation across the league's fan base. Like every time we watch a Montreal game, you can just hear that squeak, 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 squeak. But I said that's just the new Vuvuzelas. I probably dated myself pretty much with the Vuvuzela reference, but that was like 14 years ago. um, but yeah, there was man. I think those air horns are they're part of the game atmosphere really for to kind of make the Alouettes game atmosphere a little unique in that regard, right? Of
but
course, we
they're
have
they're
a
they're annoying, and I don't like them. They remind me of the World Cup in South Africa, which was a
the
great tournament and all,
Vuvuzelas.
but those vuvuzelas were kind of
Yeah,
annoying. If there's any sort of bee buzzing like a bee sound, I just automatically don't like it.
just
And
mute.
yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but air horns didn't bother me too much, but I can see how it would bother a lot of other fans watching the game, right? And especially if Montreal beating up on your team and you're just getting increasingly incensed of hearing, you know, honk, honk, honk. Uh,
That's exactly it.
yeah, well, it didn't happen here because, uh, Toronto starts the next drive in the 40 because of the field goal, and then there was a 4 yard one that happened as well. A 4 yard run was really all that happened on the drive because it was like a 2 and out. Because Kelly tried to, flick a pass sideways that flew incomplete. So that was a 2 and out. And then a Montreal's drive, Fajardo throws wide incomplete on first down. Julian Grant converts on a catch for 13 on like a stop route. So he basically just stopped in place, caught it, and then he was tackled instantly. So it's kind of one of those play designs where you have just stop and goes, right? I noticed that a lot in this game where it was just receivers just usually like plant their feet in the ground and just wait for a catch, and just the defenders don't seem to be wise to it somehow. Uh, anyways, yeah. So after that, it was Speaker converting on a catch and run for 12, and then Fajardo slides after 9 yards, and then he wanted an unnecessary roughness flag at the end. I thought they were gonna throw a flag like that because he was like fishing for one. I was raising his hands up, but didn't happen. Um, But yeah, it was still a 9 yard run. So Montreal ended up converting on a QB sneak from him anyways, and then Fletcher runs for 2 yards. But then Toronto was called for an illegal hand to the face penalty to make Montreal go up 10 yards and an auto first
They don't
down.
usually
And
call it on they don't usually call it on the defense, but it was called there, so there you go. Usually
yeah,
that's an
you
offensive penalty.
yeah, usually it's an O lineman that really like does that, gets to him,
Yeah.
hands up into the face and just let's notice. But yeah, I said it was pretty much an auto first down, and that was an end to a very eventful first quarter with turnovers galore. I can make a bakery with those turnovers. Just um, yeah. I mean, it was also kind of flashbacks to you were talking about a game you attended, BC versus Toronto, where Vernon Adams threw like
This
six.
that was the most frustrating game I've ever watched.
Yeah, well, this was like close to it. This was more, fumbly, bumbly, and stuff like that, right? Uh, but yeah, so we go to the second quarter, and then the start of the second quarter, uh, really, well, Franklin hits Mac hard for a 6 yard passing gain, and then Fajardo's only really able to run, only able to run for 1 yard.
So
He
they get into
forced
the red zone again and they can't score. They kick a field goal. Like
kick a field goal to, cut the lead
another
more to
reason why they lost.
7-6.
Another drive. If they had just gotten in the end zone, would have won the game. So
Yep.
Montreal's going to be kicking themselves a lot after this one. This is a game they should have won.
Should have. I agree. They really should have won. I mean, especially when it comes to the events that'll happen in the third quarter. But we'll get to
Exactly.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I'll probably say that when we get there. But say what I want to say when we get there. But yeah.
definitely.
So after that field goal, Kelly gets sacked on second down to force like another 2 and out for Toronto. It's kind of I get the feeling about that Toronto's offense is going to go through like whoa and hellfire just to get yardage again, right? Because it's really tough to beat a road team to either keep have leads or just dominate. But um yeah. So Montreal's drive after the 2 and out punt, Letcher caught the bouncing punt and they took it back to the 42, and then Toronto got called offside on first down. And then Thomas Erlington then runs and breaks tackles for 38 yards. That was a pretty heavy run for massive damage. um, I like those ones where he just, he doesn't look like he's fast, but it just looks like he's just breaking through a bunch of human beings just to get a lot of yardage out. Right, that's just, uh, it's kind of heavy running back, so just like that, I guess it's like Derrick Henry. Um, Yeah, and then after that long run, Julian Grant converts on a catch and run on second down and 4 for 13, and then Julian Grant completes the lead changing wide open touchdown catch on a speedy run to out like he started his catching he started his route on like the left side of the field, and then he just like sped all the way across to the right to catch a wide open touchdown, right? So that was
A
just
great play
all
to give Montreal the lead.
that was like all Julian Grant to, just outwork the entire Toronto defense and score. So that was something good. Yeah, they take the
Definitely.
lead 13-7. Uh, I thought they were going to go for a 2 point combo there, but yeah, they just wanted to play it safe and just get another extra point because, uh, yeah, and I say that because again, the score deficit was 2 points, right? I mean, imagine if they had,
Just imagine
yeah,
how
just
this game could have
a
been
lot
won.
of opportunities where yeah, that could have been a tight win for Montreal, right? But yeah, anyways, Ben McMahon returns the kickoff to the Toronto 49, and then Sankey, ex-Lion, right? I think there might have been another one, but he intercepts Kelly on a deflected pass on the first play to drive the Toronto 52 to cement Toronto's struggles on offense in the half. Right? That was
Just not impressive, But what did Montreal do with it? They didn't do too much with it. He made a good play, Fajardo, on the ensuing second and short, got about
mhm.
5 yards there. And then the next play he was sacked. and then he threw in complete on the next play, and there was a field goal after that. It was, I think, 47
47
yards.
yarder, yep.
And Montreal went up 16-7. So after the turnover, they couldn't do much with it, unfortunately. But well, not unfortunately for them. I'm a neutral. I don't care.
Unfortunate for them, like, we're like, okay, yeah, we're just sitting back, relaxing. I'm just doing my note taking. I'm just, I'm stone faced as much as I can. But even though I did want Montreal to win because I did think they had the best chance to beat Winnipeg again, but didn't didn't turn out that way. But anyways,
Nope, it did
so
not.
yeah, they go to a 16-7 lead, and then and then Toronto, props to the team, right? I mean, just when it was looking like, they were gonna lose pretty badly, a special teams touchdown happened, which is like a foreign concept to BC Lions fans, right?
Don't remind me.
Because
I'm so happy that he's leaving. Don't remind me.
oh yeah, we got like the tweet about our free agency. Yeah, he Williams was on there, and we're probably going to be gone. So, um, but yeah, foreign concept to us. Darian Grant takes it to the house for 64 yards. For I mean, the funny thing about that punt return for a touchdown was that the Montreal defenders were like backing up, and that gave like Grant enough room to run to the sidelines and then go to the touchdown. I called it Montreal defense was just scared of the no yards penalty, right? It was
That was
and it
that was
bit them.
hilarious.
That was funny, right there. It
They
was
backed off, and like you don't need to do that. They'll just stay the 5 yards and then immediately tackle him. Or in this case, it would have been better to take a no yards and give up a touchdown. But hindsight's 2020, I guess.
yeah,
So
it was just I can I imagine whoever Terry Williams goes. I mean, that's probably going to be his first touchdown. It's just going to be a defense that's just afraid to give him a no yards, and then look, he's gone. Right. So same thing happened here. Toronto kind of shortens the lead. Well, yeah, they do shorten the lead to 16-14. They kick the extra point to make it a 2-point deficit. And then on the ensuing Montreal drive, Letcher returns the kickoff to the 41. Sneed converts a catch for 17 to the 50-yard line. But then on a second down conversion catch, you just another, Montreal just get the first down, and then a fumble happened again, right? Because Speaker fumbled it, and it's recovered at the Toronto 34. And I said Montreal's turnover woes are very apparent in this game, right? Like that's the second time in the game now where they've had a first down and a fumble negated it instantly, right? And,
that's
and
just
and it was in
very
decent field goal
funny.
range too, right? So it's just another error. That's just a pile of errors for the Owls, and then then I wasn't surprised at the result of this because Toronto Grant converts on a short pass for 9 yards with 22 seconds left in the half. Kelly's first down pass nearly gets intercepted as the ball like shoots up in the air, but it falls incomplete. Then Kelly guns it deep for Coxie to the 20-yard line for a 40-yard conversion. And then this is where I think Ryan did what he has like massive cojones, right? Because he could have gone for the field goal to go up by 1 point at the end of half. Nope. Just what goes for it on the last play of the half, right? Kelly guns it for Coxie for a last second touchdown in the corner. Right? That was
Yeah,
massive cojones, right? That was just I like that was playoff level gutsy coaching right there. And then of course Jason Moss tried like an OPI challenge, death for desperation.
that was a total waste. Completely
There
stupid.
were quite a few of those desperation challenges in both games, but
Completely stupid. At that point in the game, you're only down by 5. Made zero sense at all. Like, especially given the way they officiate offensive pass interference, which is they basically don't overturn calls unless
yeah,
you like
well,
basically mug him, which he didn't.
yeah,
So
they favor more reversing defensive pass
yeah,
interference
they
than
do. They
OPI
always
really.
have. So it was just a
Yeah,
stupid waste.
yeah. So, despite that stupid OPI challenge, was just, Toronto takes the lead into the half
Yep.
unexpectedly. Just when the offense was just struggling for most of the first half, and then just a special teams touchdown just really you know, just made them get massive momentum, and of course, for added salt in the wound, the Argos do get the kickoff in the third quarter, along with an unnecessary roughness penalty that happened on that touchdown, right? So, uh,
Yeah.
so
Even more
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So in the third quarter, it was basically, Montreal was starting to kick off at like what, the 10-yard line
Something
instead
like
of
that. Yeah. Not
yeah,
very good.
they were kicking off like really deep in their own zone, right? Like I thought it was gonna, I thought it was gonna be the penalty was gonna apply to, the kickoff run, but no, it's
Didn't we
just the
all?
placement of the ball. I didn't know that. I didn't know you could do that. But yeah, so the third quarter, yeah, Grant returned that kickoff to the Toronto 49. I mean, like, it's just it kind of still felt like a normal kickoff return, really, even though it was in Toronto wasn't pretty good field goal position. Oh, not field goal range, but they were in good
Field
field
position.
position. Yes.
Yeah. But they took advantage
Uh,
of it, so good for them.
yeah. Kelly gets nearly intercepted by Sankey alone by reaching for the like he reached for the ball one-handed and he nearly intercepted it. But
Hmm.
yeah, Toronto goes 2 and out, and then they punt to Letcher, who returns it to the 34 with minimum room to run, and then Fletcher loses a yard on the first down one, and then Julian Grant converts on a catch and run and second and long for 13. I mean, there were multiple long yardage conversions greater than 10 yards. Usually, Suetna does sack Fajardo for a loss of two on first down, like near the midfield, and then gets nearly intercepted by Mechie on second down and fourth Montreal punt. And I really like this punt from Zima. Actually, I'm going to give props to him for this one. He managed to pin the Argos to Toronto's three because he
Great,
like
great
punted
coffin
it to
corner
the
punt.
opposite side of the field. Yeah,
Very impressive.
yeah. He made the ball like go the opposite way. Like he didn't let the returner gravitate toward the ball. Right. Like, I guess
Yeah.
the returner was thinking he was gonna go this way, but he kicked it the other way. And then yeah, it was a coffin corner punt, which is always appreciated for special teams nerds.
Definitely.
Um, yeah, so yeah, yeah, the Argos start on their own 3-yard line, but the Montreal defense didn't really hold it because Kelly gets like flushed out of the pocket to the right side, and then he throws it to Grant, like an alien Grant, in a rare receiving kind of role because he's usually like the punt returner guy, but the rare receiving feet to convert on a huge pass for 47 yards to 50. And that was a big moment in the game for Toronto. Then there was another, conversion pass for 15 yards for Polk, and then on third and one, Montreal was called for offside. Oh,
Really
that's
unhelpful.
unhelpful. Yeah, I hate those. Like, you get. Well, I mean, there was also a few times where the team with the ball is usually just like waiting for an offside to happen, but it never does. So they have to call a timeout or just take a delayed game. But in this case, it was just straight up Montreal went offside without the need for a hog count, right? So, uh, yeah, offside, and then Coxie converts on a 12-yard like arcing run, and then Polk's touchdown catch attempt is thwarted on first down by Sutton, that just denied. Uh, Procedure call, kind of just negate, kind of just offsets what the offside call was.
Must have
Back
been
to
those
our
air
left
horns.
guards. Yeah, must have been of their horns. Yeah, just I also heard something else in the Winnipeg game, but that was a weird one. But yeah, it wasn't an air horn; it was something else. But yeah, so yeah, Toronto. Oh yeah, it was here that Toronto does attempt to draw Montreal offside because eventually they get the third down, but they try it again, and then they try to draw them offside, but they fail, and then Olahu makes the 26-yard field goal to extend the lead to 24-16. So that's an 8-point game. So it's like still a one possession game. Uh, and then on Montreal's ensuing drive here, Fajardo basically, he throws like a dump off pass to Thomas Erlington, and then he does like another one of those signature. It doesn't look like much to run, but then he just runs for a lot more than you expected for 17 yards, and then Spico converts on a play action throw for 19, and then Fajardo he got tripped by the turf monster for 7 yards, like on a run for first down. I always find those amusing, just tripping on nothing. uh,
Kept on a ghost, I guess.
goes, yeah, Sam Darnold. But on the next play, Fajardo then fumbles again. Well, yeah, Fajardo fumbles on a second down by a sack from Serezna, and this was again in field goal range to give the ball back to Toronto, right? Uh, um, it was yeah, it was I called it a critical drive because again they needed like that touchdown or like a touchdown and a 2-point or 1-point conversion to like still make it close. But yeah, it was another big moment in the game for Toronto. Ben Kelly gunned it on a run on first down from the Toronto 27 for 49 yards. Boye converts on second and 3 for 7 yards for the Montreal 22. And this
This is
is
this is horrible.
yeah, this is
Very, very sad.
yeah, this is just like probably in a moment where I'm sure Toronto fans are saying like, yeah, even if we win this game, but do we even have a chance in the Grey Cup? Because Kelly runs for 9.5 yards. It stopped up, second and injured, but he gets hit by two guys and then he gets a severe, leg injury in the process. I initially put it as a concussion because the way he fell down, it looked like he had a concussion, but upon the replay,
That's
he
not what it
did.
is.
Yeah, yeah. I
He
think he
broke his
might have
ankle.
broke his
That was
leg or
announced.
some
He broke his
somewhere.
ankle. It was announced later. He broke his ankle.
Okay, yeah, he broke his ankle, so yeah, he had to get coded off the field. So yeah, I imagine he's
We wish him a speedy recovery.
much as we can do, right? And then
Yeah, exactly.
uh yeah, Ben I mean again, say what we want about Kelly the person, but I mean being the quarterback for the Argos, like I think he's Toronto's like best shot of not now upsetting the Bombers, right? But yeah, just uh Arbuckle slots in at quarterback. I mean, from props to Arbuckle for being able to manage the game for the rest of the way, but here he slots in at 3rd and 1 with 36 seconds to go in a quarter, and they tried the offside, drawing them offside again, but it failed, right? So it's twice now in rapid succession that they tried that and they failed, but then
More often than not, it doesn't work. Defenses are pretty good at not jumping, unless they're the BC Lions defense, of course. But
mm,
that's for another day. God.
but there have been some times where the Lions defense has been fooled by that, but we're used to taking stupid penalties at the worst times, right? And
Yep.
we're just conditioned to expect the worst in terms of penalties for us, right? But anyways, enough about us. Uh, yeah, Toronto failed to draw Montreal offside, but they accepted a delayed game penalty, and then Haolau booted another field goal, like with a pretty short one this time, 25 yards to extend the lead to 27-16. And then Fletcher basically converts on an out route catch for 14 yards from Fajardo to end the third quarter. And then in the fourth quarter, at the start of the fourth, Fajardo throws into the ground incomplete, but then Julian Grant converts for 22 yards on a wide open throw. Snead converts on a catch and one for 12 to get in the comfortable field goal range again. And and this time instead of turning the ball over stupidly, right, or just
They actually got a touchdown
they
out of
actually
it.
got a touchdown out of this. Yeah, Mac, well, on a 2nd and 3, catches like an easy wide open touchdown. shortened the lead to like 27-22, and then they tried for a 2-point combo and they failed that. We'll get to a
And they lost
prediction
by
I made
two
about,
points.
yeah. We'll get to a prediction I made like near the end of the game too, but yeah, here was basically I thought it was many. Uh yeah, Grant returns the kickoff to the Toronto 47, and then Auerbach goes second snap before the incomplete. He bounces it up Kerry, and I boop. um yeah, and then Coxie catches for an 8-yard pickup, making it just enough for Dinwiddie. Well, I mean, he decided to play it safe, just wanted to punch it away and didn't want to, have too much risky plays in this game. But yeah, he decided to play it safe. Um, which actually worked out because Montreal's offense didn't do anything with that punt either because it was only really like Fletcher was only really able to run 7 yards on a catch to force them to punt. Uh, Causing a huge stop for the Argos defense, and then
They
on
got the ball
Toronto's,
for 7:48 after
yeah,
that, so it was pretty good.
yeah, on Toronto's next drive, uh, Coxie gets a ton of yak yardage here at the well, yeah, first Greg gets it at a 48, and then Coxie gets a ton of yak yardage of these sheds tackles on a second down conversion in Montreal 37. That was another amazing uh yak yardage kind of pass, right? Just you just straight up bulldoze this, and Hoaxy just straight up bulldozes and just goes to 37, and then Pope catches a huge 2nd and 10 conversion on a high point catch for 13 yards. But I mean, it was huge because it did take some more time off the clock, but eventually, Montreal's defense does hold. They hold Toronto's point scoring to 3 as Hawalaru boots an easy field goal to extend the lead 30-22. So it still made it an 8-point game. Uh, then yeah, again in the waning, and then here it was like it was within 4 minutes of the fourth quarter. I predicted that I think I predicted Montreal would score a touchdown. Missed a 2-point convert. Toronto would go 2-and-out, and then Montreal would score the game-winning field goal. I almost had that sequence of events happen, right?
Almost, but
Exactly,
not quite.
almost. But yeah, that was because yes, Montreal did get a touchdown. It was on a wide open 20-yard. I mean, it was Fletcher catching it, and then he ran like an open expanse for a 20-yard touchdown drive. But then, yeah, then on a 2-point combo, I said he would miss that, and he did. But you also said Montreal was going to turn the ball over, and we're both right, right? uh, yeah, we're both right, but for just the weirdest reason, right? So yeah, 2-point combo fell because of a turnover. That keep the game at 30-28, and it was like, okay, if they can hold Toronto here. No, because Arbuckle threw it to Ungerer to convert on a clutch 2nd and 8 for 30 yards. And then Toronto calls timeout to prevent delayed game on a repeated 2nd and 8. And then this was like the game ender here. This was when Beverett, Arbuckle chucks it deep, and then Beverett gets called for pass interference on a deep shot, right? Like to allow Toronto to go into victory formation pretty much. Like it was a
It was a
very
blatant PI, non-controversial.
non-controversial, and it was also a very anticlimactic ending, right? Because I
Yeah,
thought Montreal would be able to make a stop and go down to kick a game-winning field goal, but yeah, that was just the PI. That was like the Grey Cup clinching. No, the Grey Cup game clinching PI call. So yeah, Toronto just will take that, and they basically get revenge on them for last year because last year they got smoked at home, right? Because they were the favorite. Toronto was the favorites, right? They only had like one loss of the season, and then they lost to Montreal because they had a hot streak themselves too, right? But this time around, Toronto gets revenge on Montreal, and they advance to the Grey Cup for the second time in 3 years. So first time since 2022, and Yeah, that's the first half of the conference final. So yeah, this game was a lot of everything, right? It was
A lot of
um
sloppiness, a lot of exciting plays, a lot of turnovers, stupid penalties. Montreal just made a ton of mistakes, and if they'd cleaned up a small amount of them, they probably would have won. So that's when they're gonna have to sit within the offseason of how did we let this get away?
they let this get away. I mean, especially when you had Chad Kelly like, injured for the rest of the game, and you could have taken advantage of like a cold quarterback, right? But they didn't. And I mean, I see Arbuckle, having doing just enough to win the game for Toronto. And again, it's just giving me like bad flashbacks to when I remember a few years ago with BC versus Calgary, where Bo Levi Mitchell was down with injury, and then it was Arbuckle that led them to come back against BC at home, right? So I mean, it wasn't a comeback situation here, but it was just Toronto did like just enough to win the game and probably aged like Argos fans 70 years in the process, right? Uh yeah, can't say I'm yeah. I wasn't I was a little surprised by this. Was thought I really thought it would be another rematch of Montreal and Winnipeg, but yeah, Toronto.
Not to be.
Yeah, Toronto just deserved to be there, right? Because again, they beat the pants out of Ottawa with 58 points, and yeah, they beat Montreal with 30 points. I mean, I was worried because a lot of the time when you blow out an opponent, right, usually like your points total will come like crashing down the road and you won't score as many, right? But yeah, Toronto did enough to win. So yeah, I'm. Can you tell I'm a huge Toronto hater? But I'm a huge Toronto hater. But again, I'm like, I have to give props what props is due. Right? Like they played just a little better than Montreal did because Montreal just didn't deserve to win with five turnovers in the game. Right? You cannot you can you very rarely win games with five turnovers, right? uh, especially in a playoff game. Like in a playoff game, like if they were playing like a better team, I'm sure Montreal would have been like blown out by a bunch of points, right? But yeah, it was an evenly matched game, and just Toronto just got out and stayed ahead enough. So yeah, that was a drama-filled game, and I guess now we'll just switch over to the Winnipeg Saskatchewan game. This game isn't. I didn't take nearly as much notes in this one
Well,
as
it
the
wasn't
other
close.
one.
Like, let's be honest, there wasn't much to say about it. It's not even really worth the detailed play because I wasn't paying that close attention. Once it was 14-0 early in the first quarter, I knew it was over. Others who were watching with me gave me some heat for that, but I said this is over. And in the end, I was right. And what did it end? 38 to 22, I think it was.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
in the end, it ended up 16 points. I knew it was over at 14 points. Like Winnipeg just showed up and completely blew them out of the water.
Yeah. Just like they did us like 2 years, right? I mean, if there's kindred spirits for Lions fans and Riders fans, is that we're getting sick of getting owned by the Bombers every time at that damn Coast Princess Auto Stadium. That's what it's called now. I mean, it used to be called Ivor Wynn Stadium, and then forgot what the other name was. But yeah, that stadium is just like a house of horrors
It
for like
really is.
everybody in the West, right? Just and we got shut out in one of our games in there, right? And then Saskatchewan just yeah. So I'll just quickly go over like what happened in this game. So yeah, and then well, I'll just say that Kenny Lawler had himself a game today. Right, he had three touchdowns and 170 plus yards receiving. Right, he yeah last year it was I mean it was funny. Like after the third touchdown that Lawler caught, like all of Lawler's touchdown catches were on long throws, right? Like he had a lot of yardage, right? On all of his touchdowns. But I basically said that after the third touchdown, that Lawler is to Saskatchewan what Oliveira was us last year. I mean, it turns out Oliveira also gets like 100 plus yards rushing, anyways, and a touchdown, right? He it didn't even need him, and he just does 100 plus yards rushing. Right, he just um yeah, I was yeah, and another thing I noticed in this game was it was basically Winnipeg. I think Winnipeg would what really like watching uh Saskatchewan, beat up BC the way Saskatchewan beat us up, with all the quick throws and the rushing attack, just pretty much beating us up, with a lot and everything, right? And Winnipeg basically just carbon copied that and just switched it around on Saskatchewan to give them a taste of their own medicine, right? It's just, uh, yeah, yeah. First quarter was just, I mean, it was ended up being 14-3, really.
They're really like there's it was just a blowout. That's all I have. Was there at any point was it even close? It was 14-6 at one point
14-6,
in the
and
se- in the
then
set in the second quarter,
yeah, 14-6 was the closest it got, and
and
then
then after that they just kind of they ran away with it. And towards the end, I just stopped watching. And I think the last 10 minutes of the game I didn't even watch.
yeah, I watched it. I actually
Good for
watched it the
you.
whole time because yeah, I wanted to just enjoy as much CFL football as I can because again, I know like after the Grey Cup, that's it for until June, right? And then I just wanted to take in as much CFL football as I can before I'm going over back to hockey, back to the NFL, and then the cycle will start all over again, right? In 25, right? But yeah, but basically it's just Winnipeg never. Must be nice to have a team where you just you take the lead and you're not afraid of blowing it, right?
Yep.
And and the funny thing is the wind also. I mean, there was a little bit of a windy day in Winnipeg, but they didn't need the wind to like BS their way to a win this time, right? Like not like the one in Montreal, right? It was uh yeah. I just said, oh, of course the wind's back, right, to help out Winnipeg. It didn't really help them out, as much as it was comically done in the Montreal game last time. But yeah, they had yeah. Saskatchewan was basically just kicking field goals in the first half, and
No,
Winnipeg was like, fine with that. We'll just score touchdowns. Right. Man, I mean, Saskatchewan basically like scored a field goal like at the end of the first half, and that was a little bit of hope, but it was really like at the start of the third quarter, it was really like the third Lawler touchdown to really like ice the game, and then yeah, there was really like nothing really going on, and then yeah, and then fourth quarter I didn't take too many notes. So like I took a bunch of notes, but I'm like now that I think about it, I'm going, well, I really have to go too in depth. But yeah, I just wanted to put it there just for the record, just so I can remember this going forward, like in case Saskatchewan does manage to, beat Winnipeg at some point next year, maybe, right? But uh, yeah, it was basically just the game was over by. I'd say the game was over by 21-9, right? Because
yeah.
all Saskatchewan was doing was like field goals and with the
And
halftime, and then yeah,
that was it. Yep.
yeah. Riders did get like a garbage time touchdown in the end for once. I mean, I haven't been seeing those too much at the end of CFL games lately, but yeah, they just wanted to know just a tiny bit of feel good thing for yeah. And then I said at the end, Winnipeg spanked the Riders easily for 9 straight wins against them at home. And then they move on to like their fifth straight Grey Cup appearance, which is insane in this day and age, right? Um I haven't seen, a good a team like be this consistently great. And it's funny because like this year they struggled out of the gate, and we weren't fooled, right? Like we knew Winnipeg had an extra gear on them, and again they proved us right. Right. I'm sure I'm sure a lot of the Bombers fans were like really starting to doubt the team, but yeah, then we weren't because we knew that this
We
team
just knew
still
based
had.
on happened 5 years in a row now. They just show up in the West Final and win ultimately pretty easily.
pretty easily. Like no aging for Bombers fans going on this time, right? uh, yeah. I'd say that as a result of this game, I mean, just the Riders just didn't really have what it took to overcome Winnipeg ever. I mean, I was saying like they needed to bring the S tier effort in this game, right? Because the effort they brought to BC, I would consider it like B plus, A minus, but they needed an S effort to like really like defeat Goliath, right? As to David, but yeah, it just wasn't meant to be. And then yeah, I'll again, I was kind of hoping that to see the Riders win, not only because I wanted to see the Bombers lose for once at home, but I wanted to see, Corey Mace, like a Port Moody native, actually coaching in a Grey Cup game, right? Like someone from my town coaching a football team in a championship game, right? But yeah, and he had a fairly successful first year as the head coach, right? And again, the commentary, just made light of the fact that they've got like a bright future ahead of them, and I'm going, well, you say that about Edmonton, and they're still kind of struggling, but yeah, I mean, at least we can count on Calgary being, down in the dumps for a while, right? While
It's true.
let's hope so, but yeah, they're down in the dumps for a while, but yeah, yeah, I mean, it's bound to be just a very competitive. I'm sure, like the year that was in the Western Conference. I mean, of course, it ended with Winnipeg being in the Grey Cup again, but whoop-de-doo, right? But no, I think that this kind of year for the Western Conference, it felt a lot different. Well, it felt like the West was the weaker conference, right? For once, uh, it was really just like BC and Saskatchewan was relatively like stumbling in the middle of the season, and then Saskatchewan did like just enough to be better than BC, but
To get the home playoff game.
Nobody can be better than Winnipeg in the
I
playoffs. No
think I
one.
think Winnipeg is like the clear undeniable. This might get me some hate from Toronto fans, but the clear undeniable favorite next week. Like
Yeah, I'd
honestly,
say by
I'd
double
be
digits
very
too.
surprised if they lost because they've lost now two in a row. Both were really close. I'd be very, very surprised if they lost.
Well, I'd be surprised if, well, either they lost or they actually won by a close score. I'd be
Yeah,
surprised.
this feels like the 2018 Grey Cup where Calgary with Bo Levi Mitchell had been the overwhelming favorite in the previous two Grey Cups and lost them in close games, the one to Ottawa in overtime, and then the one to Toronto when they were down
On
by
Ricky
three.
Wade's like last year. Yeah,
Yeah,
last year as a
those
quarterback,
two
right?
games that they should have won both of those, they lost. Then 2018 Grey Cup against Ottawa, they blew them out of the water and won easily.
Yeah.
Like this is what it
It's
feels like to me at this point. I know Winnipeg won the two Grey Cups before they lost two, but it just kind of has that same feeling for me there. I'd be absolutely shocked if they lost. I'd be shocked if it wasn't a blowout next week, I'll be honest.
Yeah. I mean, we'll be, yeah. We said it last week. I mean, I'll say it again that, we'll be excited to actually go to a Grey Cup game for once. It'll be my first one in 11 years attending one. And, you know, I, I, I mean, I'll definitely be around to take some, just some clips of crazy stuff happening during the game, and of course the Jones Brothers conference, uh, concert, not conference. Man, if Jonas Brothers conference call, that would be my sister would love that. uh, um, yeah. So yeah, there's like the Jonas Brothers at the half. I'm sure that'll be fun. But
Yeah,
I
that'll be
wasn't
good.
much of a I'm not much of a Jonas Brothers fan myself, even in their heyday. But you know, it's nice to have, a relatively pretty big act coming to Vancouver. And this is like after the Taylor Swift Eras tour as well, right? That's like back to back huge acts for the city of Vancouver, right? So that's gonna be a nightmare for traffic, right? Uh,
Yep.
yeah, so I guess I mean it's safe to say for a Grey Cup pick something. I think all three of us are just going to overwhelmingly say Winnipeg's depth. I wouldn't say definitely win, but 95% probably going to win. Like there's still that 5%
Well,
chance
things there's
for
always a chance that, Winnipeg will show or Toronto will show up and have a really good day. It was like the 2019 Grey Cup where Winnipeg beat Hamilton. Hamilton was the favorite, and they just showed up
yes,
on the day and they had a stinker on Grey Cup day, and that's how Winnipeg won that one pretty easily.
and that's how Winnipeg started the empire of terror of that.
Yeah,
Right,
I remember
like
just like
like they broke a 30-year drought to win that, and then at first we were like, oh yay, the cute Winnipeg team finally won the Grey Cup, and
they
then they
just
just
over
didn't.
just because that was an upset that year. Hamilton was
Yeah,
widely expected to win, and they just crapped the bed on game day.
and then Hamilton is the team that's trying to break a long drought themselves now because they haven't won since '98. So and still haven't, right? They've kind of uh but yeah, this is yeah, I'm not gonna be I'll be like you again, I'll be shocked if they lose lose the Grey Cup game next week, right? Or if they well in any fashion, right? Like if it's a close loss or a blowout loss, I'll be like really surprised. Uh but it would be funny, right? Because um again, w- uh yeah, it would just be it wouldn't be the first time a quarterback with the name of Nick takes a underdog team and upsets a perennial favorite team, right? I'm talking about Nick Foles versus the Patriots, right? Uh, although in that case, it was actually the Eagles who were actually the number one team in the NFC, and yet they were still underdogs, right? But in Toronto's case, I mean, they were just the number two team, but they're still they're even more underdogs against Winnipeg. But yeah, just hope for that Nick Foles kind of magic for Mr. Arbuckle. Uh,
Yep.
so yeah, that'll be it for us for today's little mini conference final recap episode. Yeah, and
Yes, we'll
we'll
see you
just
all next week, and probably I imagine probably Monday we'll be doing that one.
yeah, Monday because I'll probably be home late, and then Monday night we'll talk about how the game. And I'll be putting the stats in for the Grey Cup because yeah, because these conference final games I just wanted to recap them, but the Grey Cup game I'm gonna do the full stats input and then well best I can, just remember what happened, right? Just I'll probably watch the highlights too, right? Just keep myself refreshed because I'm used to just note taking to remember what happened, right? And it'll be like touchdown Pacific, right? Although
That'll be
hopefully with functioning scoreboards, right?
a
Um,
definitely, yeah.
well, no, this time it'll be a scoreboard that I can read this time, right? Not like none on the far end, right? Uh, yeah. Uh, man, it'll be a exciting game to go to. So yeah, I guess yeah, just leave us off with socials as a tradition, and then
Yeah, our email. We love getting emails from people.
yeah, we got some pretty good ones.
We did, yeah. SECTIONTWOFOURTEEN at gmail.com, at section 214 pod on Instagram and Twitter, and at section 214 BC Lions podcast on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, next week is going to be a final episode of the season, and I'm a little sad that we're going to be shortly transferring to monthly episodes. But yeah, it was a very eventful season happening. So yeah, we'll just end it off with hopefully a decent Grey Cup, but we'll see. So yeah, we'll see you Monday.
All right, bye
Bye.
everyone.